Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, good morning. All right, I need everyone to stand up, and we're going to start with a very unique way. We're going to do a little chant to get the party started, okay? You repeat after me. You ready? You ready? Okay, here we go. Leadership.
Leadership
is hard work.
is hard work.
Leadership
Leadership
is hard work.
is hard work.
Leadership
Leadership
is worth the work.
is worth the work.
And I can
And I can
do the work.
do the work.
All right, say it like you really believe it at 10:25 on a Thursday morning. Leadership
Leadership
is hard work.
is hard work.
Leadership
Leadership
is hard work.
is hard work.
Leadership
Leadership
is worth the work.
is worth the work.
And I can.
And I can.
I can.
I can.
I can do the work.
Do the work.
All right, high five, fist bump the person next to you and say, all right, you may be seated. Well, good morning. Yeah. So leadership is all that. It's hard work. It's hard work. It is worth the work. And you can do the work. And the deal is this. Every one of us, your life, your leadership is telling a story. Every one of us. And so we're clear, when I talk about leadership, I'm not talking about the person with the corner office or has the luxurious title. I'm talking about the person who serves, the person who leaves others better off than how they found them. So this applies to anyone. And this applies personally, this applies professionally. So when we talk about leadership, we're talking about that. And every one of us in here, your life, your leadership is telling a story of some kind. The question is your life or leadership telling a story that you wanted to tell? I like what Cy Wakeman just talked about because we talk and use some of the same language and maybe some different definitions, but the same concept when she talked about drama being emotional waste. And so when I think of drama, I think of leadership in terms of genres and different genres of leadership, or stories in terms of different genres of stories. That for some of us, our story is a drama. There is that emotional waste. There is that constant conflict, and how do I have confidence to work through conflict in my life and my relationships? For some of us, the story is about a mystery. I'm still trying to figure out my identity. My leadership identity. What's my story? What do I want my story to be? And what I've discovered is this. When you and I don't know our story as people, as leaders, someone else will write one for us. Oftentimes, it's not the one that we would have written. Yeah. So there's drama, there's mystery, and if we don't work through drama becomes horror. We find ourselves burnt out instead of burning on in our work, in our leadership, in our story, personally, professionally. So what's your story? What's your story? So to get to know you a little bit, just to get the party started a little bit more further, get to know you a little bit, I want you to do something. Every one of you at your seat, there's a blank white sheet of paper. You can get that out. Blank. Oh, you don't. Oh, look. Yeah, there you go. And what I want you to do, I want you to draw your best picture of a pig. Yes, your best picture of a pig. And you have 1 minute to do this, because it's a very short 90 minutes. Yes, so start now. Draw your best picture of a pig. This is going to give me some insight into you, your personality, your wiring. Your best picture of a pig.
But I look like a cat.
30 seconds left. That's all you got. Now you're going to have to do a really good job on this because you're going to take it home, put it in your refrigerator, and show your family what you did at work all day. Ten seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So let's learn about you and a little bit about your wiring and your story. So how many drew your pig at the top of the page? Top of the paper. All right. This might suggest that you have a tendency to be positive and optimistic. Hey, all right, feeling that. Yeah. How about towards the middle of the page? Wow, many of you are there in the middle. This might suggest that you are a realist. Keep it real, right? Well, do we want to go to the bottom of the page? Do we want to go there? We can probably guess what we'll leave that. We want to keep it. This is all about happiness and joy today, right? Let's keep it on a positive tip. How about facing towards the left? You might be facing towards the left? Okay, this might imply that you have a tendency to believe in tradition and to be friendly. Okay. How about towards the right? You may have a tendency to be innovative and active. How about facing front? This might imply that you are direct. Is that direct? Is that you? Is this resonating? Okay. How about you drew your pig with many details? Many details? Okay, you got a lot of details going on, many details. A tendency to be analytical and yet cautious to the point that you may struggle with trust. A lot of us struggle with trust, don't we? With very few details. With very few details, like your pig is missing body parts or things like that. So this might suggest that you're emotional and you like to focus on the larger picture rather than focusing on details. Okay? With less than 4 legs showing. Anyone less than 4 legs showing? Really? No one? Oh, okay, she's like, okay, I'm not sure what that's going to mean. You ready for this one? This might indicate you're living through a stage of major transition. Maybe, okay? All right, with 4 legs showing. With 4 legs showing. That you're stubborn and you like sticking to your ideals. Keep it to my ideals, right? How about with ears? The larger the pig's ears mean what? Ego. You said ego. Better listener, we like to think. And then finally, how many drew your pig with a tail? The longer your pig's tail would imply your love for hip hop or country music. I'm joking. Okay, all right. I'm joking. Everybody stand up again. We're going to do one more thing again. And this time, you're just going to do this exercise, a little icebreaker with the people on your row. All right, since we your row, and your row. So this is what we're going to do. You're going to say your name, but you're not just going to say your name. You're going to do something with your body when you say your name. So like I may say Johnny, and I beat my chest. Okay? And that's all I do. I say Johnny and beat my chest. That's all I do. Okay? So you say your name and you do something with your body when you say your name. Okay? So you'll have to do it with the people here, and you just do it people on your row. Just kind of, you can't make a circle because the room doesn't allow for that. But you just say your name and do it twice. Just go through it twice. Say your name. Do something with your body. Everyone got it? We're good? Yes. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Start it now. One more time. Do it again. All right. All right. All right. So you say, okay, why do that? So one of the things I get to do here, teach here at Johns Hopkins, I teach what's called Introduction to Positive Psychology. Anybody ever heard of that field? Okay, so it's a really, really cool field. So what it is, if you're not familiar with it, it's an evidence-based approach to looking at how people thrive and flourish. That's what we look at. So we measure things like grit, and we show the outcomes of grit, which is passion and perseverance over a long period of time. We look at things like optimism and resilience, the bounce back factor. We look at things, happiness, big one, flourishing. Okay, and so we look at things like that in the field. And so guess what? What you're doing right now, in terms of your story, is play. Guess what play does? Play reduces stress. Play allows you it sparks creativity when you play. Isn't that something? So what happens when we become adults? You take the A and T off adult, what do you have left? Dull. And research shows that the average 40-year-old laughs only 4 times a day. And the average 40-year-old. And then the average 40-year-old. And the average 4-year-old, guess what? The child, kids are pros at play, the average 4-year-old laughs over 400 times a day. Isn't that interesting? All right. So we're going to do one more playful exercise, and then we're going to really unpack this story, okay? So here we go. This time we're going to push it a little bit. This is a vulnerable exercise. You ready for this one? Here we go. This time you're going to throw an imaginary ball. But you're not just going to throw the ball. Yeah, she's looking at me like, what are we doing here, Dr. Parker? So you're not going to just throw the ball. You're going to make a sound when you throw the ball. Yeah. So the person on the outside throws it to the person next, and then you throw it back around here. We'll do that twice. And so you got to make a sound, not a word, but you got to make a sound. Yeah. See, yeah, you got. And you can't duplicate. Oh, whoa! Wait a second. Yeah, wait a second. But as you throw the imaginary ball, the person next to you has to echo your sound. Yeah. So, Give me.
Okay.
I can't see your name.
Kim.
Kim. Okay, Kim. So let's practice this. This is what it looked like. That's decent. Okay, then you would make my sound. Mm-hmm. Then you make your own sound, Kim, and you would throw it to Deanne. We got it? Everyone got it in the back? We good? Good. They're like, why did I come to this session? I should have gone to the other one. Okay, everyone good? Okay, we're gonna get the countdown. So you're gonna do it twice. You're gonna pass it down the row, and then you're gonna do it twice. Then you'll sit down. Okay? Everyone good? All right. So get into the throwing the ball position. Everyone get in position. All right. 3. I'm gonna get the countdown. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. And when you're done, sit down.
Got it.
Excellent. Good job. Excellent. They're having too much fun back here. Yeah. They're still going, right. They don't want to end. This is the party that never ends. All right. What do we learn from, again, we talked about the idea of play and what the benefits of play. But what you just did in terms of throwing an imaginary ball and having to make a sound, how does that connect with your life as a story? How does it connect with leadership? How does it connect to your personal or private life, personal, professional life? What you just did, just talk about that with people at your section for a moment. What does that have to do? We did the name, strike a pose with your body, and now you had to make a sound and pass it around and share it and partake with other people. Some you may know, some you don't know well at all. What does that have to do with your life as a story, with your life publicly, professionally? Talk about that with people at on your row for a moment. You good right there? Okay. In the interest of time, let me hear from several of you. What does that have to do with your life as a story, with your life publicly, personally, professionally?
Well, go ahead.
Okay. Sometimes you have to do things that may be uncomfortable to meet the
Yeah.
goal.
Sometimes you got to do things, many times, personally, professionally, do things that are uncomfortable to meet a desired goal. Yeah. What else? Yes.
So loosen up a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. We're stressed, right? I mean, we're living in a very, very stressful time. Stress is not new, but it's just lots of it.
We connected it to personality, the emotion with saying your name. How subtle was it, or how animated was it, and does that reflect the type of person that you are, more like laid back or more outgoing? So,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah, you do something with your body and how it is exactly drawing a picture of a pig and then doing something with your body and then making sounds that gives you some insight. Some of you are introverts, and believe it or not, I am an introvert. You're probably like, oh my gosh, I do not like doing this kind of stuff. Extroverts like, give me more. So who else? Who else? Okay.
It forced you to listen
Yep.
to both the directions and to your
Yeah.
colleagues.
Yeah, absolutely. And think about that, especially when we get to the idea, let me go to the name first. When you say your name, that's the beginning of your story. Your name came from someplace. It originated from someplace. You were named after someone or so your name has real significance in terms of just saying your name and whatever pose you did with your body. But then when you have to throw an imaginary ball and make a sound, think about that. How safe is it for me to be vulnerable and make my sound and bring my sound, my unique sound to work, my unique voice to work, my unique story to work? Is it safe for me on this team? Is it safe for me in this place to be my authentic self? Okay? Is it okay for me to bring my sound, my perspective, my voice? Okay? So, thinking about that in terms of your life, your leadership, every day of some kind is telling a story. I imagine people with a thought bubble above their head, and you're processing something. There's some kind of story that you're telling yourself, some kind of story that you're living out. And so how do we be intentional about the story that we want our life to tell, personally, professionally, publicly, and privately? So I asked that question, what's your story? A little bit of my story and where this whole thing began to really make sense to me. So I'm 56 years old. I know some of you thought, oh my gosh, I thought it was like 36. God bless you, you're nice. But I am. So why that's significant? Because when I was turning 40, when I was 38, let me go back. In my 30s, let me go really far back. So I get married, Joe's mother, my wife. I'm from Jamaica, New York. My wife is from Jamaica, West Indies. I call her my Jamaican sensation. And so we met in college. I told her I was from Jamaica, and she believed me, and so she married me. And so, but I am from Jamaica, New York. And so, so we get married, and then I go back to school and I get my master's in my 30s, at 30. All three of our sons are born, 30, 33, 36, every 3 years we'd have a son. And then I write my first book. So my background is similar to Cy Wakeman's. I started off doing marriage and family therapy. So my first book was a marriage book. And it did very well. And so we're traveling internationally. We're in Jamaica, we're in the West Indies, we're Cayman Islands, I'm on CNN, I'm on BT, and doing a lot of speaking and traveling, and it's going quite well. Then all of a sudden, I get to be about 38, 39, and it seemed like I hit a wall. Here I am, the marriage guy, write a book around marriage, and now my marriage is in a dark place. It's something when you're a marriage guy, and you write a book on marriage, and you're interviewed on marriage, and then you and your spouse have to go sit on the couch. Okay, Loveland started singing to me these Barbra Streisand songs, "You Don't Bring Me Flowers Anymore." You know the song, yes. And I was like, are you serious? I'm a good dude. And so we have that drama, emotional waste. So we have drama there in our marriage. I'm having drama physically. I start having panic attacks. I start battling with depression. okay? So I'm dealing with depression. And I'm not talking about this with anyone, okay? I'm embarrassed to talk about it with my wife. I'm afraid to share with her and be that vulnerable with her. And it would manifest itself getting on a plane, which I was doing a lot in those days. And then all of a sudden I got on a plane and I wanted to go to the pilot and say, land this plane right now, or I'm going to turn this plane out. Because I would have, if anybody knows what a panic attack, it would be just that terror of, yeah, I mean, you're nodding, yeah, that terror of I feel trapped, I feel like I can't breathe, and I feel like I'm going to die right now, and I need to get out. Okay, it was awful. So we have that. So we got marital, we have the panic attacks and depression, and so my story was unraveling. Okay. I find that when you're in your 30s in particular, you can live with this theme of how do I go as fast as I can, to do as much as I can, to be as successful as I can. Okay? And so I was very, very driven. I don't think driven is a good word. I think it's an unhealthy word. I think drive is a good word, but I think driven is something else going on behind driven. I think that when we find ourselves driven, we're oftentimes chasing after a finish line that does not exist. Right? So that's my story. So I get to be 39 now. I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to turn 40. I don't like my life. I don't like the story. I'm feeling physically, I'm not well, emotionally, relationally, mentally, spiritually. I mean, there's nothing I like. My birthday rolls around. My birthday's in February. The nice thing about February in Maryland is you can go to Ocean City, get good rates, and no one's at the beach. So Loveland says, what do you want for your birthday? I said, sweetheart, all I want to do is take my journal. I want to go to the beach and be alone. I need to process me. I need some serious, significant me time. So she does that. She says, go for it. So I go to Ocean City, and I'm thinking seriously, I'm like, you're going to be 40 years old. You're like midlife, right? You're 40 years old. This is a big deal. And look at your life. And one of the things that I did there that I now have as an exercise, I call it the Born Identity, because when I was doing my doctorate work, Matt Damon was my guy. And watching the Bourne movies on a Saturday afternoon, I'm one of those unique guys. I like to write and read and have a little bit of TV in the background. It's just, my wife says, how do you do that? It's just, I can't have it totally silent. I need a little bit of noise, and that would be my noise. So I'm at the beach, and I do this. And I call it the Born Identity because what I did was I looked at my life in 10-year intervals, 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 39. And I look for defining moments. Now I do this with all my clients. If I coach you, we're going to go through the Born Identity at some point. And it was tremendous, what I call high definition clarity in terms of my life as a story. I looked at 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 39. And I just looked at defining moments in all these decades. It's the way, and we're not going to do it today. We don't have time to do it today. But typically, when I do this, we'll look at the decades, and then we look at defining moments. What were some of the themes, right? And then what was the emotions in that decade? And then if I gave that decade a title, what would it be? And so when I got to, I did that while I was at the ocean. When I got to 30, 39, clarity, tremendous clarity. Now it's something you can do on yourself. But it's like doing surgery on yourself, and it was beneficial. But it goes even deeper when I have my students do it, or if I'm coaching you and someone puts your life on a big sheet of paper and you see it. It's a different dynamic. But that was as best I could do at that time, and it was extremely beneficial. Because when I walked out of there, I said, no wonder I'm a mess. Look what's happened 30 to 39. 3 sons are born. Okay, I finished a master's program. I write a book. We're traveling. And I heard in there, she talked about, and I've heard people talk about life-work balance. And I understand people mean. I have a different take on life-work balance. In my book, Turn the Page, I call it life-work blending. Okay? Because I think balance is the wrong word. I think it's a misnomer. I don't think you're ever balanced. You're always balancing, but I think it's life-work blending. And what I discovered going through my doctoral work was the same dynamics that are true on a team, in a team culture or an organization are true in families and true in marriages. That's what I said, wow, that's a lot of blending. My son is here with me today. He works with me. My wife and I work together. We do a thing called Turn the Page. We do it for couples. We do it faith-based. We've worked with NFL teams. My Ravens fans are here. We work with the Ravens. We've done a lot more work with the Steelers, though. Okay? Significant work with the Steelers. Oh, whoa! We'll see what happens Sunday night. Last year, this time, Sunday night, we were at the game, and we were at that weekend. I sat down with Coach Tomlin, and we talked for about 20 minutes, and Joel's right with me, and we won that game. So anyway, but the point is, there's something about that the same dynamics are true. You have trust at work. Guess what? You have trust in families and at home. You have emotional intelligence at work. You have emotional intelligence at home. Okay? You have a culture at work. You have a culture at home. The same dynamics that are true. And that's why I think it's a blending, because it's consistent all the way through. And I just think balance is, I know what people mean, but I just think it's a misnomer. So when you think about that, what's your story? Why do you lead? Okay? Why do you show up? Why do you lead? And does your story resonate with the core values of where you work? Or is there a disconnect? In our time, and what I want to just do, we're going to just water ski. I'm going to give you 5 elements, okay? We're going to just water ski through 5 elements that are story shaping, that shape the story, okay? And it's going to, and it's very interactive. And so we're just going to walk you through 5 elements of this idea of story. And here's what I want to use first to define what I mean by, well, you see that, but it's not on the slide. But basically, when I talk about the story, I talk about the story this way, that your story has 3 parts. Your story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Okay? That's your story. The day you were born, your story began. The day you die, depending on what you believe, faith, whatever, your story ends, at least, okay? And then you have a middle. Well, all of us are living in this middle version of the story. And in every story, there's characters, there's relationships. People at work, people at home, friends, college friends, whatever. There's these characters that show up in the story. And what happens in a story, in movies, a story will either result in triumph or tragedy, depending on how we show up, okay? Now, using the language of a story in a movies or a book, we call it a page turner. That's the language I use, or a protagonist, rather. So here's how I bring that into the leadership mindset and thinking, that a page turner is the leader who does the common thing in an uncommon way and experience uncommon positive outcomes. Okay, and we're going to talk about examples of what that looks like. But that's what I call a page turner. It's that person is very deliberate. Because here's the deal. None of us drift to a great story, life or leadership. None of us bump into it. And that's where the confusion was for me going through my 30s. I was scattered. I was drifting all over the place. So we don't drift to a great leadership or life story. We don't bump into it. It's intentional. And as I said earlier, if you and I don't have a sense of high definition clarity about what the story is, life will give you a script. Others will write one for you.